Fight fans? This is Crazy Kevin here, and I'm here with former UFC fighter Aaron McKenzie. Aaron, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Yeah, man, can't complain. We were just talking a little bit. It's been a little bit over a year since you've been in the cage. Why do you think it's been so hard to find a fight for you?
Man, there's too many people out there that are willing to say no. These days everybody wants to protect their record. Everybody wants to be undefeated. Nobody wants to take hard fights. I hate it. It's really whack spot to be right now because I've been trying to fight. I've been trying to fight since August, and I haven't been able to get anybody to say yes. I've had ex-UFC fighters say no a few times. I've had guys with undefeated records say no. I've had promotions tell me that they can't get anybody to think about saying yes. It's been really sucky time. I've been just trying to beat somebody up.
Now, is the regional scene always like that? I mean, is it just like the situation you're in since you're right on the UFC cusp, or is it always just really hard to find a fight on the regional scene?
So for me, it's always been just a little bit different. I've had a tough time getting fights ever since I turned pro because I had probably a little bit more amateur fights than I should have. I had like 11 amateur fights or something. And I came up with a really good amateur record. So getting people to say yes has always been a little tougher. Um, but right now, it definitely is a little harder for everything. Like the last 4 years or so, the entire scene has changed, I think. Um, Pretty much it's so important to be 5 or 6 no because everybody wants to be 5 or 6 no. Then, oh, I'm going to get that contender shot. So they don't take the hard fights anymore. Like if you go through my record and you look, every single person on there is a winner. Like even my debut guys, when I was a couple fights in, they all had winning amateur records. Like I think one of my pro debut, he was 10-3 as an amateur. So we both came out at the same time. And then everybody, even the debut guys, they had great records. So there's not a single loser on my record. But nowadays, people are going out and just beating up people that probably don't have any business being in the cage. It's really kind of sad that they're willing to go beat up 5 or 6 people and get a UFC shot and then go get beat up themselves. I love people like that. Like if I can get a 5 or 6 no guy that's done nothing but beat up bad people, I'll take that fight any day of the week. But people don't want to say yes.
So right now, since you say you've been trying to get a fight since August, is it just UFC or bust right now?
Honestly, initially it was UFC. Like I wanted UFC or the Asian promotions. I would love to travel. I'd love to go to Asia. It's been a dream of mine forever. But anymore, I'm just trying to find somebody. Right? I've been inactive for too long, and that's not who I am. Like if you go back to my amateur days, I fought, and then I fought again 2 weeks later. I want to fight, and I want to fight a lot. I don't have a lot of years left, unfortunately. There's a time limit on this. But if I could get the right fights, I can get some. I can get 5 or 6 in, and I won't mind in a year. Just have to get people to say yes, unfortunately. And that's why the UFC was so important for me is because they have the people that have to say yes. Like you get there and you either take the fight or you don't. And then you get cut pretty much. So I love that I could have had that opportunity for, just people that will say yes to you because outside of the UFC, they're not doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, we talked a little bit with you being on the Ultimate Fighter. Tell us a little bit more about your experience about it and maybe something behind the scenes that maybe a fan might not know about.
Yeah, so honestly, it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's 100% more a TV show than it is anything fighting. We showed up and it's sit and wait, sit and wait, sit and wait. And then after we finally we were in the hotel for like 2 weeks or more, and there was twice as many people in the hotel that could be on the show. So it was crazy how many people on the last day just got sent home and basically like, yeah, you're an alternate. We'll call you if we need you. And you're worried about it the whole time you're there because you don't get to interact with them really. You don't even get to talk to them for the most part. So you're just seeing and you're counting people in your head. And you're like, all right, so I know there's only 8 spots, but I've counted 16 155s. And so then you're like worried, am I the alternate? Who's the alternate? Why haven't they mentioned alternate? And then you find out that they never really told anybody they were alternates. They just sent people home. And so it was kind of crazy that part. But then when you got to the show, everything had a camera element, right? Like if there was no camera, you weren't allowed to talk. They literally, like, we had a van ride one time where we couldn't say anything. We were completely iced out because they didn't have sound record guy. He was busy or somewhere. He's in another area, so we couldn't talk. We just had to be quiet. Um, then you got we had multiple schedule changes, but basically we showed up, or we finally got selected. We were in the house and we started everything, and then 4 days later you're fighting. You know, so you don't even have time to really work with your coaches before you go into the fights. You're showing up and you're going. So whether you're ready or not, you got half of the people that are going to be fighting in less than a week. So that was pretty crazy. And the TV was more important than the fight, truth be told. But then they're recording everything you do for 6 weeks. But then we watched the show and there was minimal house interaction on there. It was kind of crazy. We were all just wondering, like, so why did we even need to be there if it was mostly just going to be the home footage and then the fight? That was what kind of bothered a lot of us.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It does seem like nowadays with the recent Ultimate Fighters, they've been trying to take out a little bit more of the drama and trying to make it look more professional for whatever reason. With that being said, is there like a specific scene in your head where like, man, I really wish the fans would have got to see that?
Honestly, there was one that I thought was going to be in there. I kind of got into it with Timur Valiev. He he was kind of the grump of the house, I think you could say. He went to bed a little earlier. He was really strict with his religion and stuff, which is good. That's how he is, and that's not a problem. But there was one night, it was like 9 o'clock, so it wasn't even close to late yet. And he came out and threw a fit, and he was telling everybody to be, or he didn't tell everybody to be quiet. He told Mondo to be quiet. And Mondo's my dude. Love Mondo. And so like it made me mad. I was like, why? So he said that to Mondo, and then he was like, just because you lost your fight doesn't mean we. And like he specifically called him out and said that he lost and that he's really rude about it. So I told him, I was like, F you. And he kind of thought for a second, then he walked out, and then he came back, um, and he didn't know who said it. So he went to Mondo and he's like, Mondo, why did you say this to me? And I was like, I said it, right? And he didn't hear, or he acted like he didn't hear it. He kept trying to talk to Mondo. And then I was like, I said it. That was me. And he was like, why did you say this to me? That's my friend. I joke with my friend. I was like, that's not a joke. It's not fun, right? And like I'm sitting here eating my ice cream, trying to stay as calm as I can. And like it didn't escalate, thankfully. But I thought that was going to be in there for sure. But nobody ever knew about it.
So, with you being on the team McGregor, was there something you learned from either McGregor or his coaches that maybe changed your ways on how to train?
Nothing that changed how I train, but they did. Like I learned a lot of good stuff. They showed some good stuff. Um, when Connor was there, we did a lot of cool, like we did a lot of solo drills because you can tell he's used to doing a lot of stuff without a lot of people. And then so the rest of his coaches were really sick. Like I loved Kavanaugh was awesome. Owen, Sergey, the wrestling coach, like they all did such a good job. That I had a lot of respect for them and the things that they taught. So it was cool just getting to learn from all of them and a lot of people that have been around for a long time and just different viewpoints, right? I've been able to use a lot of the stuff that the mind, like, so they kind of changed the way that I'd want to do a few things, like I didn't used to jab as much, but so after my fight, I was like, okay, well, I have a good long jab. And they were really big about it. So I just kept working my jab. I came home and I kept jabbing, kept working. And so like jab is a big tool that I use now. So I can't wait until I actually get to fight and show off some of the stuff that I've been working on for a long time.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned in a previous interview that Conor McGregor, he followed you on Instagram. Does he still follow you?
No, we all kind of noticed a few months back that he's not following, but maybe one or two guys. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's just because he forgot to unfollow him or what. But he's unfollowed a lot of us, and whatever.
Fair enough. Now, I was going to mention as well too. Did you happen to see Roadhouse as well too?
I did watch Roadhouse because I mean It's got Connor in it, and I like Jake. He's had some really good work, and I'm a huge Roadhouse fan. Like old school Roadhouse, I love it. I recently showed it to my wife, and she hadn't seen it before, and so she really enjoyed it too. But to me, it's exactly what it was. It's a straight to streaming action movie. It's one that you might not go out to the movies to watch, but if you can just put it on at home, you already got Amazon, you may as well.
Fair enough. Now, with you being on the show, it's been a little bit since you've been in there. What advice would you give to young fighters that are maybe trying to make their way onto the Ultimate Fighter?
Um, See if you can get on Contender first. But no, it honestly, it's a once in a lifetime experience. You got to think there's 8 guys in a weight class every year that get to do that. It's a really exclusive club, and it's a thing that you can never take back. You get to learn from a lot of people. You get to interact with a lot of people. It's something that I'll remember forever, and I'll always be a part of. And like we still group chat with the boys. Like anytime somebody's got a fight coming up, we're all in there. We're hollering about them. So it's a really good thing. Like I made some great friends on that show, and I love them to death.
Pretty sweet that you guys have a group chat together still to this day. Now, earlier I saw in the background you got your cat, you had your dog. I have a dog myself too. I got a black mouth cur. His name is Louis. He's crazy. Tell us a little bit more about your pets.
So I have 2 pugs in my lap right now. I've got Barnaby and Blaze. And then the cats just randomly showed up about a year and a half ago. Like we found one in the garden. She just rolled up on us when we were planting our flower bed like 2 years ago. And then in November of the same year, we another cat came up to the store that I used to work at, and he was tiny, looked bad, looked like he'd been out in the weather for a while. So he just hung around the store. We had some feral cats. They were store feral cats, so they came around and ate twice a day and hung out and kept nice off. But he was just hanging out with them, and the boys were kind of mean to him. Uh, Tried to find his home because it looked like he was the sweetest cat I'd ever seen. He just could hop up in your arms and be held for as long as he wanted. And so after a few days of him being in store, I told my wife, I was like, babe, if nobody claims this dude on Friday, we're getting him shots and we're bringing him home. Friday came around, nobody ever bothered about him. So that's our Fernando now.
Awesome. Now, with that being said, you have a dog and a cat. Which one do you like better, dogs or cats?
I'm pretty content with all of them. And honestly, I don't really have a favorite. The dogs are fun. The cats are fun. Just the cats are funny because you got to kind of earn their love, right? Dogs, they'll love you no matter what. But then the cats, Mavis only cares about me in between 11 and 3 a.m. That's when I'm running, and then when I get done running, and then I come to play the Xbox after. When I come to play the Xbox, that's her and me time. She'll come and hop in my lap and stay there the whole time. But the rest of the day, the rest of that 20, 21 hours, she's like, "Don't even look at me, dude. You got a treat? Don't bother me. Don't come over here if you don't have a treat." She'll lay with my wife, hang out with her, goes to sleep with her and everything. But then as soon as I'm done running, or as soon as I'm trying to go run, she's like, "I want to come. Let me come in there. I want to come in that room with you. I'm your best friend now, right?" And so she's funny. Fernando, though, he'll love you all the time. He's still sweeter than can be. He sleeps under the covers. He'll come climb up under the cover and just lay across my legs. I've never seen a cat sleep under a cover.
That's awesome. Now, what's your favorite memory with your pets?
Um, Man, honestly, it's probably the first day we got Barnaby. It's been almost 10 years now, and my wife had been wanting a dog. I was leaving a little bit back in the day to train. Like I'd go down to Texas and train with Johnny Hendricks and them and Team Takedowns, where I met my striking coach, Stephen Wright. So I'd go down there, and one trip, I went down to help. I think it was Cody Pfister was getting ready to fight Sage Northcutt, and so I was going down to help him. And she was like, "All right, well, if you go, I'm getting a dog, right?" She was like, "This one's at the vet right now. We can go look." And so we went down there, and I had a cat named Bacon at the time. And so we needed one that would be cool with cats. And she walking by the cats. He didn't even act like he cared. So then we go get in the playroom, and she's down on the floor trying to play with him. And all he did was he came over and sat in the corner and jumped up in my lap. So he pretty much was like, "Yo, we can go. We can go home now." Right. And so he pretty much told us, he was like, I'm your dog
Awesome. Now, I mentioned earlier when we were setting up this interview that I'm a Taekwondo instructor. I've been training for about 20 years and been teaching for about 6 years. I have a location with about 150 students. With that being said, my question to you is, what advice would you give my students to keep coming into the gym every single day and to keep getting better and better?
Man, honestly, you said it, right? Like that's it. The most important thing is consistency. If you show up and you do something every single day, then you're going to get better at it. And you're going to get good at it. And eventually, you're going to do a lot of great things in it. Like that's my favorite thing about martial arts and MMA in particular is you can show up every single day and learn something new, and you're never going to be, you're never going to be done. Like I can do this until the end of my life, and I'll learn something new still, right? Like it doesn't matter how many times you've done an armbar, you can always do an armbar better. It doesn't matter how many times you've done a kick, you can kick better. You can set up the kicks better. You can learn different ways to move. You can do your whole different side of your body, right? That's something I've been really doing the last 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years, is just trying to focus in on going southpaw. So many people are getting their leg kicked off these days and they don't even know how to switch stances. Like it's not going to be me out there, right? First off, check kicks. Second off, if you can't be successful out of the other stance, then maybe you should figure that part out. But just keep showing up and keep getting better every day because there's always something new you can learn.
It's such an interesting question because earlier in the day, I just interviewed Dustin Lampros, who's also on the Ultimate Fighter. And when I asked him that question, he literally said the same thing. He was like, "You said it," and then he also said, "Leg kicks save lives." So it's really funny how like, almost like similar ideas as well too. So definitely an interesting question that I like to ask you guys. Aaron, with that being said, last message to the fans that are going to be watching this interview.
Man, just thank you guys so much, right? If it wasn't for fans, we couldn't do this. I try and go out and put on an exciting fight every single time. Uh, I'm all action. I'm go from the get go. I want to go out and win. I want to go beat people up. But if it wasn't for the man, it's been so rare that I've got to fight in front of fans in the last 4 years. Right, the only real time was when I had to go all the way up to South Dakota and fight Lucas Clay. That was the last time I really had fans. There's like 30 people in the TUF room, and before that it was all COVID fights. I had a couple of fans in my last one before I got to fight Lucas. So like I can't wait until I get to go out and fight in front of people, especially like if I get to fight in Dallas. I'm trying to fight in June. Man, I hope you guys show up and show out because I love having people there. The louder you guys get, the more excited I get and the more fun we're gonna have.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. And hopefully, we get you a fight soon. That'd be nice, and maybe even in the UFC too. Yeah, that would be awesome. Aaron, thank
I
you.
sure hope so.
Oh, man, it means a lot.
Thank-
And we stay in touch. We can run another interview back with you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, Aaron, talk to you soon. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to your future fights.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
All right, see you later. Thank you again, Aaron.